Hello and welcome to Pandora FMS. In this video, we'll show you how to merge Pandora FMS nodes in the Metaconsole to configure it in centralized mode. For that, we will be starting from the point where you have the instances you need installed. In this case, we will use 2, but if there are more instances, the steps are the same. Our instances are deployed through the Rocket Linux Online Automatic Installer, as well as the Metaconsole. To begin with, make a series of configurations to carry out the merging process. As you may know, the Metaconsole is a web interface that allows you to see, synchronize, and manage different Pandora FMS monitoring nodes in a unified way. It is exclusive to the enterprise version, and it allows you to horizontally scale your monitoring environment, allowing you to have a large number of elements monitored and managed from a single point. Thanks to the merging process of the Metaconsole databases, it is able to monitor and manage the monitoring of up to hundreds of thousands of devices centrally. Let's proceed with the configuration prior to the merging process. For the first step, access the web interface of the Metaconsole, then go to the Configuration Meta Setup section. This takes us by default to the General Configuration section of the Metaconsole. Here, add the automatic login password, or in other words, the hash password for later. In addition, in the section List of IPs with access to the API, enter the source IPs of the nodes to be managed, or in our case, an asterisk. This allows any IP address to make use of the API. Before leaving, disclose the API password for later use. You may use the default one, as we will in this case, since it is a test environment, or set a new secure API password. This first configuration must be performed on the rest of the nodes. In each one of them, access the web console and go to the section Configuration, General Configuration. Once there, carry out the same steps seen previously in the Metaconsole. Once you're done making these modifications on each of Pandora FMS nodes, proceed to the following configuration. Once again, access the web interface of the Metaconsole, go to the Meta Setup, and here on the right, click on the symbol of a server. This will take you to the configuration of the consoles. Here you may add, thanks to the information that you modified previously, all the nodes that you need to merge. Click where it says New Node and proceed to configure the information of each of the nodes. In Tag, add a name to the node. As for console URL, type in the address of the web console of that node. The following part is very important. In the section called Authentication Hash, type in the password of the hash that you configured in each of the instances above. In our case, 1234. And in the API password section, the node's IP password. Add the rest of the data based on the configuration you have in a certain instance. Once you add all the nodes you need for the merging process, they will appear in the configuration section of the consoles. You may see that each one of them is working properly and are connected to the Metaconsole. For this to be so, all nodes in the Metaconsole must be in the same version, in addition to being in the same MR. If not, there will be errors. Then, as the last previous step before performing the merging process, modify some parameters of the php.ini file to avoid errors. It should be noted that all nodes in the Metaconsole must have the same configuration. Go to the file located at the path /etc/php.ini. Look for the parameter memory_limit and set it to -1. That is without limit, but only for the process of merging the databases. After finishing it, it is recommended to set it back to the previous value. Then check whether the value of the post_max_size parameter of all nodes is equal to or higher than the value of the parameter in the Metaconsole. If it is not, modify it. In addition, perform the same process for the upload_max_file size parameter. Both parameters must be at least as large as the size of the heaviest file collection you have. And here we're done with the configuration of the php.ini file. Next, we will give some recommendations prior to launching the merger. All nodes on the Metaconsole must have the same date and time properly configured. Stop the servers of all nodes on the Metaconsole during the merging process. The cron Pandora_DB process must be temporarily stopped during the whole process to prevent users from making modifications and generating errors. Before you stop all services, we recommend you to backup the databases on each of the nodes, in case unexpected errors arise. Once you consider all these recommendations, move on to the merging process. Go to the Metaconsole's web interface. Once there, go to the section Centralized Management Command Center. If everything was correct in the configuration process, here you will be able to see the Metaconsole's connected nodes that will participate in the merging process. Click where it says Merge Databases, and then the database merging process starts. This process has two steps: environment synchronization and event updating. The first one is the main one you see, and access to the nodes stays restricted until the process finishes, while the second one runs in the background and it is possible to work with environment in the meantime. Once the first stage is finished, if unexpected failures have not arisen, we can say that the environment is then centralized with the command center. Restart all services you stopped. From now on, you may manage all nodes from the Metaconsole or command center, where you may manage policies, alerts, agents, etc. in a centralized and more intuitive way to work with Pandora FMS. And that was it for today's video. Don't forget it, if you liked the video, smile, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Any suggestions, questions or ideas, please leave them in the comments below. Remember that if you're interested in trying Pandora FMS Enterprise, you may contact us to get a free 30-day trial. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope to see you on social media and in future learning videos.